Your toothbrush doesn't matter as much as you think it does, but here are some tips on choosing the one that might be the best for you. If we don't have a toothbrush that satisfies the needs that we need consistently, then we're not going to have the oral hygiene to make it so that we can smile at those awesome people down the road and actually attract them towards ourselves. Toothbrushes in general tend to be a big topic of discussion. I personally, as a dentist, love having electronic toothbrushes. They tend to move a lot more. They tend to take out a lot more plaque with less effort in general. Now, it depends on which ones you get. Some of them are basically useless because they don't vibrate nearly as fast, or they don't have the type of motion mechanics that some of the more advanced ones do. But generally speaking, it's also very important to realize that the texture of the toothbrush is very, very important. So having soft bristles or medium bristles is probably better than having hard bristles. And the reason is that we don't want to have recession. We don't want to have our gums basically leave the top of our teeth. We want to make sure that we are brushing away all the stuff that needs to be taken out, but doing it in a way that doesn't actually hurt our gums and our teeth in the process. Furthermore, there are different types of toothbrushes that have different handles. Slightly larger handles can be better ergonomic for other people. Smaller handles sometimes are better for smaller hands. Kids' toothbrushes are always different. They're different colors. They have jingles and stuff that play with them. And it's very, very important to realize that if your kid has a hard time brushing their teeth, that perhaps you might want to think about having an electronic toothbrush that has some jingles and colors on it, because that'll get them interested in brushing their teeth. But if you have a hard time brushing your teeth, maybe you should think about having some jingles and electronic stuff, right? The other thing about habits in general is if we have trouble brushing our teeth, or if we're getting to that terrible habit of falling asleep on the couch on the weekend when we're watching a bunch of shows and stuff, and we wake up in the morning and we do hopefully brush our teeth, the idea is to put a toothbrush into our environment regularly. So I always say to people, listen, how are you going to remember something? You're going to remember it when it shows up in your face, right? You're going to remember when you have the toothbrush next to your guitar, or you're going to remember when you have the toothbrush next to your PlayStation. You're going to remember when you have a toothbrush next to your desk, to do work. If you're having difficulties remembering something, put it abundantly in your environment, and chances are you'll be thinking about it a little bit more. Furthermore, even if you don't have an electronic toothbrush, you got to realize that it's all about technique, baby. It's all about technique. Everything in life is about technique. You got to sweat the technique, okay? When it comes down to the toothbrush technique, I always suggest a 45-degree angle downwards into our gum line. Scrape that little area where all those bacteria like to hang out, and then pull up and keep on going. So the motion is literally like this, and you keep going. And don't miss the inside. The inside area. Don't miss that area. You got to make sure that you're getting your brush head back there, and you got to get again into that gum line and clear it all the way out. Now, technique matters a lot. You could have the best toothbrush in the world. You could be brushing with a pick or something. But if you know what you're doing, you're going to do it right. So my suggestion is, if you don't know brushing technique, pause this video, go and check out our video specifically about brushing technique, where I go over all the little things that you need to remember and all the surrounding areas that are super, super important. And the other part that's super, super important, which is nutrition. We're not gonna get into that right now, but in general, brushing is very, very important, at least once a day. It's actually scientifically proven that calculus forms when 48 hours pass and plaque does not leave our mouth. So that technically means you can get away with brushing once every 2 days, but you gotta have a good brushing technique to actually end up getting all that bacteria. Otherwise, you're risking it hardening and turning into calculus, which is something that you can't even remove yourself. Now, obviously doing this in tandem with having a dentist or a hygienist is very, very important. But the amount of toothpaste that people use is also very important. For kids, you gotta have very little amount of toothpaste. For adults, you gotta have a little bit more. It's like a size of a pea, basically. But again, if we don't have enough toothpaste, we're not really doing too much. Mechanical removal of this plaque and bacteria from our mouth, really important. You just wanna do it consistently, you wanna do it right. And flossing also becomes useful, especially when you eat a lot of foods that have like sinew, a lot of foods that have meat fibers, anything that can get kind of stringy and attached in the middle of your teeth, you gotta get rid of that stuff. If you're ever feeling, and this is a pro tip, if you're ever feeling like there's a little bit of pressure in between your teeth after a meal, there's a very good chance there's a piece of food there. So take it out, otherwise you'll just end up receding your gums and doing other stuff. So toothbrush, I would choose a soft, medium toothbrush bristle head. I would get an electronic toothbrush, and I would make sure to have proper brushing technique. There's also tongue scrapers, which are really, really dope. They remove all the nasty smelling stuff from our tongues. Mouthwash, also super cool. Just a good thing to have around, but if you want to avoid staining, there's actually an additional tip. Drink a lot of coffee, or if you smoke, rinse your mouth out afterwards with water, and that will actually reduce staining quite a bit. We also sell Sensodyne 3D White, I think, in our office. Having whitening toothpaste is really, really beneficial. It actually does work. You just have to make sure that you're not staining your teeth with other stuff all the time. Whitening strips also work, but they make your teeth really sensitive, and it's because they're basically stripping away the outer enamel layer. So those are a couple different things to keep in mind. You know, I always say I'm not looking for vanity. You know, I'm not looking for like the best, beautifulest, you know, staring at the sun when someone smiles. I'm just looking for a healthy mouth. You know, you give me a healthy mouth, I'll show you a healthy person. This is Dr. Turab Rai from Franklin.Dental Care and Dentures. Hopefully this advice finds you well. If you're looking for more questions, or if you have any more questions about toothpaste, toothbrushes, whatever, leave them in the comments below. Subscribe to have more dental information at your fingertips. And we do a lot more than dentistry. And go and check out all the myriads of other content that we're putting out to educate society. I'll see you on the flip, man. Woman, them. Take care. Peace.